if things were well. I didn't want anyone to know about my situation as I didn't want to be pitted on. I felt so alone as I couldn't open up even to my own family or my closest friends because I was afraid that they would condemn me or blame me for what had happened. I desperately wanted to save our marriage, and so I took matters into my own hands. I spoke with the other woman, and I asked her to let my husband go. I asked my husband to join me in a marriage counseling session, and we even attended a couples retreat with the hope that he would be enlightened and have a change of heart. Anger and bitterness consumed me, and those drove me to quarrel with my husband many times. I would blame him for what had happened. I nagged him with the many questions that I have. Deep in my heart, I yearned for him to say that he still loved me. I had hope in my heart that our relationship would be healed and restored. In January 2007, I found out that they were still seeing each other. So I forced my husband to go, confront the other woman, and tell her that he was ending the affair. And he was going back to our family. I thought my plan would work, but I was completely wrong. When he left our house that day, he went to the other woman and never came back. Para po akong pinagsakluban ng langit at lupa that time. Without a job and sole responsibility of raising 2 kids, I fell into depression. My whole world was shattered, and my family, while there to provide emotional help, could not even offer financial support. In order to escape the pain and anguish, I tried to end my life by slashing my wrist. But the Lord had other plans for me as I survived that ordeal. Hindi ko pa daw time. While nothing else to hold on to, I turned to God and was not disappointed. His presence overshadowed the loneliness and hopelessness that I felt. And that started my journey of rediscovering His love. As I learned to surrender my life, my family, and my future to Him, the Lord showed me that I have Him and that He is enough. Without enough money to make ends meet, I learned to depend on the Lord for everything. With kids in tow, one fateful Saturday, the Lord led me to Glorious Hope, which was running on its 3rd year then. Encouraged by the warmth and openness of the organizer, I committed to finish the 5-month program and attend the session every Saturday religiously. With the help of my life coach and group mates, I learned to process my emotion, anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, and the like, and experience the liberty of being my real self. No pretensions and no mask on, without fear of being condemned nor judged. As I went through the 12-step, I became more aware of why people behave and think the way they do, what motivates them, and how their distorted view of God has led to unmanageable lives. In the small group discussion, I had learned many key things, learning and realizations, among which are the following. Number 1, I thought I was a good and submissive wife, and it was my husband's affair that caused our marriage to fall apart. But I was as much to blame, and I had my own share of misdeeds and wrong actions. I drove him away by my constant nagging and manipulative behavior, and he felt disrespected by my controlling attitude. Number 2, I have made my husband the center of my life, and he became an idol to me. I turned to him in order to feel my desire for love and acceptance. And I learned also that the fighting and eventual separation affected our children deeply, emotionally, psychologically, and mentally. My daughter thought she was the reason why her father left, and she blamed herself for what had happened. Due to their traumatic experience, both of my kids developed low self-esteem, and they became aloof, timid, and insecure. The realization became the starting point of my more intimate walk with the Lord. With a deeper awareness of my own weakness and failures, I experienced God's grace more and more. Understanding the effects of my children compelled me to reach out to them to encourage them also to attend the Glorious Hope program and to help them go through their own healing and recovery. 3 years after our separation, my husband has decided that he wanted an annulment so he could marry his mistress, who was at that time carrying their second child. Instead of fighting with him, I simply said no and quietly told him, hindi yan sabi ni Lord sa akin, hindi ko ibibigay yung annulment sa'yo. To this day, my husband and I are still separated. But I have forgiven him for the hurt and pain that he has caused me and my family. I have been praying for him, his work, his other family, and most especially his return to God. I have surrendered my desire for the restoration of my marriage to God, and I leave it to Him, to His perfect plan and timing. Sabi nga sa Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." The Lord is truly gracious as He has given me the privilege to serve in GH alongside with my daughter. And together we are able to comfort others with God's comfort. Again, I'm Lenny Howe, recovering from anger, bitterness, and hopelessness. To God be all the glory, honor, and praise.